Max. Yeah. We'll try to get her out of here about 20. Welcome, everyone, to the Health Professional Success Podcast. I'm Doug Grant, and I'm super excited today to bring one of the top holistic practitioners in the nation. I've had opportunity to meet him at seminars, had opportunity to teach a methylation seminar in his clinic in Texas, and really see how he works with the patients, and better, how the patients interact with him and their love for him and their trust in him. And it's really one of those things that's very critical right now as we start to go into this post-COVID age. And we're going to get into that a little bit and about some of the things that he does that you might be able to start incorporating to not only become more holistic, but to really have your patients connect with you. And that is going to be the key. So welcome, Dr. Adams. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you. Glad to be here, Doug.
Tell me a little bit
Thanks.
about where you started, what type of doctor you are, so that the audience can kind of get a feel for you.
Yeah, so what really kicked it off was when in chiropractic school, one of my buddies, Dan Silito, told me his dad is a Brimhall guy. And back then it's like, what is a Brimhall? So I went to my first seminar in Tri-3 with Dr. Brimhall, and so he opened up a whole different world than just what you saw with regular chiropractic. So I started early on in Tri-3. So then just through school, I just learned more and got really into that. So the basis of my clinic coming out dealt with a lot more than just the structural part. It incorporated nutrition and a lot of other like technological stuff with the chiropractic world.
All right.
And so from there, just more seminars packed in, and then just the more you learn, the more you go, and the more people you begin to help. So
Absolutely.
just
So now
there.
a lot of people don't understand what they mean by Brimhall and how that changed your practice from just being chiropractic. Explain what that means, like the different steps or what it means to be a Brimhall chiropractor.
Sure. So Dr. Brimhall put together just an overall encompassing program where he focuses on 6 steps to wellness. So that involves the structure, which all the chiropractors will be working on. But then he brings in nutrition, detoxification, emotional stuff, allergies, sensitivities, and a lot of other things that people suffer from that can affect their health. So, it brings all that into like a simple program that you can do with your patients in the office, and then just amplify your results, and then you start amplifying the type of patients you start seeing in your office.
Great. So basically, that's where you understood or got the system to be able to be more holistic, to be able to treat the whole body. Is that kind of a good nutshell?
For sure. Yeah, for sure. The stuff that he taught me back in the day definitely built the foundation on being way more on the holistic side of things, and then it just grows from there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, great. So now you practice where?
I'm in Plano,
And
Texas.
tell us a little bit about your practice. If a patient came in there, or what's the volume, kind of give the people a feel for what your clinic's like.
Sure. So we see a wide variety of things. We see, from the basic, I just want to kind of get adjusted, the regular chiropractic stuff. So we see all those, but then it ranges from the people who can't get out of bed, have no energy, the chronic fatigues, the Lymes, the more severe type metabolic cases in there. So it's good having a good mix of people. That way, just you don't put your eggs all in one basket. So if something like COVID comes in, like your practice doesn't completely tank. So that's kind of, we do multi different things. So it just keeps the day interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome. So I noticed in your clinic that you do have a lot of different things, from the mindset to the nutrition to the supplementation on top of the normal. And that's really what we mean by holistic. And is there one of those areas that you are more drawn to? Let's take away the adjustments and basic chiropractic, but is there an area that you're drawn to more, just that you enjoy when you're treating patients?
Yeah. So one of the things that I really like doing is working with infections and
Mm.
toxins. So when let's just say, like I had a lady today, she had MS, and she's on those Ocrevus injections and things like that. So when she comes in here, we do a certain like evaluation that where I look into certain areas into like her brain, the nerves, things like that, and I use a form of muscle testing with frequencies and vials, and we figure out what is kind of causing disruption in the function of the certain organs. So, for instance, her exam showed that she is struggling with Epstein-Barr, cytomegalovirus, and some other type of mosquito viruses in her liver and in her glia cells in the brain. So what we do with that is then we make homeopathic vials from what we found. So that way it kind of just alerts her body to what she's got going on. So her system can then kind of engage those things and help clear them out. And along with that, that's when we bring in the supplements and nutrition to come in and aid that system and help remove the infections or the toxins in those specific organs. So we kind of put the homeopathic vials along with the nutrition that you guys make into a program for the people.
Oh, that's great.
And it was their second visit in here, and from the first one, we found a whole lot more viruses. And from the re-exam we just did with her today, a lot less viruses, and now we're working more towards mercury and lead with her too, getting that stuff out of her body. So she's already improving quite a bit.
That's great. Well, it's interesting, and this is a little bit of a deep dive that we might not normally go into, but there might be some doctors interested in this, is that when we're talking about using some homeopathic remedies to help pull toxins and that out of the system, and then you heard like Dr. Adams talk about the nutrition on top of it. A lot of people don't understand the difference and the importance of both. And I love that Dr. Adams understands that. And I'll give you a quick understanding. Basically, when we have toxins in the body, we don't care if it's an infection, a heavy metal, or anything like that, we can use homeopathy or homeopathic nutrients or chemicals that will draw those out. But when they're drawn out, you still have a deficiency that was left or a toxicity that was left from the infection or the metals or those. And the only way to bring the body back into homeostasis or to create balance is to add the nutrients back that was either pulled out of the body because of the condition or actually the body used more of because they were trying to, fight that situation. And so a lot of people, if they just use only homeopathy or they only use nutrition, they're missing out because you need to pull everything out and you also have to add back that nutrition. And so that 1-2 punch that you're doing is extremely the right thing to do, and you're finding it very beneficial?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, so if there's a virus destroying, let's say, the liver, I mean, you want to bring in nutrition to come in and help repair that liver a little bit faster than just letting the body do it over time. So the nutrition really speeds things up from what I found anyway.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate that. So let's, just for today, jump into another angle real quick. We're making this podcast here in May and just kind of right in the middle or hopefully toward the end of this COVID situation. And, things have changed and we've deep dived into the research. We're showing coming out of this, possibly into a recession, that the public, that patients, that they're going to be a lot more focused on relationships and trust. Who do I trust? Who do I don't trust? And it's going to change the way doctors and other holistic professionals need to work in their clinics. What are you going to do to make changes, or do you feel you already are going down that road enough with patients with what's coming up in this possible recession?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to make too many changes from what we normally do. I mean, I'm pretty much an open book when you come in here. You're not getting salesman Dr. Adams in here. It's just, like I care about the patient actually getting better, and I think if that's your main focus with the person, then it just shows through, and then you build a lot better, just like a personal connection with them. So I mean, that's just what we do in our office, and I think that's kind of why we're pretty much 100% referral based. So I don't see myself doing much different from a marketing or connection standpoint. I think we already kind of do that.
Absolutely, and I'm actually glad you said that, and I wanted to point this out to everyone because we've interviewed doctors that went through the 90s recession. We went through interviewing doctors who went through the 2008 economic turmoil, and it was amazing that some of those doctors said, you know, we didn't even know there was something going on. Dr. Brimhall talked about it. I didn't even know something was going on if my patients wouldn't have told me. The reason was they were already connecting with their patients, or already providing that level of trust. And so things just kept going and they were able to make it through and thrive, while others that were taking advantage of the bull market, in other words, you know, everything was in excess. So they could do everything, they could just run people through and it'd be more like herding cattle, you know, than
Yeah.
really taking care of the patient. They got hit because they didn't realize that in their clinic, they should have transitioned more to what you do on a daily basis. That is, focusing on the patient's concerns and their health and their well-being mentally, physically, emotionally, and being able to have that level of trust. So when this happens, whether recession or the COVID, that the patient will think of you. They're like, hey, I trust my doctor. I already have that relationship. And so for the holistic professionals out there that are watching this, and if you're running a clinic that you're just running people through and it's a number game based on the amount of adjustments you can do or acupuncture and all that, you really need to take a look and listen to like Dr. Adams, who is connecting with the patients and who just knows that he needs to just keep doing what he's doing, provide that service, and no matter what comes down the pike, recession or not, he'll be able to thrive. And so that's really, really great to hear. What suggestions would you give to doctors that want to become more holistic, that they're listening to you and they're like, hey, I want to get more into these other aspects that I'm not a professional with? What would they do?
So your question, to get from like maybe not a holistic into just doing more holistic stuff.
Right.
First thing is you got to go to the seminars. You got to actually learn where you're deficient and what you can do to start getting into that whole world. So, and you gotta treat yourself too. Like I tell you, the first person I worked on was me. I got nutrition, detox. First thing that I would learn in seminars, I would come back and I would work on myself first. So if you don't walk the walk, I don't think you can really do it in the office. It just doesn't match up. So that's number one, is fix yourself, and then you just got to start studying and really kind of dive into it and kind of own it. Once you own it, and then it's just easy to kind of go and do it. But and another thing is you have to start. You actually have to get in there and start trying it. Not the whole fake it till you make it type deal, but you just got to start applying, testing, seeing what works, what doesn't work, and then just keep building off of that. If you don't ever start, then you're never going to get off the bench, man.
Well, I really like that, and I'll tell you, out of the hundreds of doctors that we've interviewed, the real nugget that you mentioned right there is that continuing education. And so many doctors and people that have been to school and sacrificed are like, okay, I've got it now. I'm going to make it work with what I have. And they don't go out and get more education. They don't go out and learn the marketing, they learn the nutrients and the different testing procedures. And I really think that from what you just said and what we've learned over the years interviewing lots of doctors, that's the key, is that when there's a seminar comes up that interests you, that, hey, I might get some new tools there or information to implement to be more holistic, get your butt there. You know,
100%.
and I've definitely noticed that with you. You're out there. You're going, even if you've been to some before, you go back, you glean what you can, and that is a great habit to get into and an attribute to, because it takes some humility, right? You're a doctor, you've gone through that, and you're willing to go and say, teach me more, teach me more.
Yeah, you got to.
That's awesome. Well, I think that, treating yourself, getting back out there and learning things, no matter what seminars or who it is, that really is got to be two of the top things doctors can do to be more holistic.
Yeah, you betcha.
So who are your mentors?
My mentors. So Dr. Brimhall for one, since he was
Absolutely.
my earliest in the chiropractic world. Dr. Johnson, who you've met at several seminars, great dude.
Yeah.
Those are definitely two in the chiropractic world. From a nutrition standpoint, obviously you know, I watch all your videos and learn all that stuff. So I definitely learn a lot from there. And other mentors, I don't know, man. I just listen to so much stuff.
Yeah. Well,
Those are
and
you guys
that's
are
really what I
actually
wanted
close.
to point out because think about what Dr. Adams just said. He picked someone that was a practice management consultant that he trusts and mentors from. He practiced someone that teaches techniques and systems, Dr. Brimhall. He spoke to someone that teaches nutrition and does the formulas. I know that you deal with Dr. Porter a bit too, don't you, with on the mindset?
I mean, I did some. I didn't have that capacity to implement that stuff in the office, but we do it at home. So we do
Right.
some of that. There's another guy in Florida who I learned a lot of stuff from, is Dr. Fields. So I learned a lot of stuff about infections and stuff from him. He's
There you
another
go.
really good one.
So that's really the key is to form your own mastermind group. And I know we've talked about it in previous podcasts, but this is real life. Dr. Adams has gone out and whether he did it on purpose or not, he has picked mentors in each area. And then he keeps learning from them, going to seminars and then applying that in his clinic. And that is really the secret. It goes back to Think and Grow Rich, right? Napoleon Hill and creating that mastermind group. And I think that's very important.
Oh, for sure. You gotta have people to bounce ideas off of, and that's where Dr. Johnson and the whole board comes in with all them. There's tons of doctors on there that you can talk to, and it's just a good to have people around you to help if you get stuck.
Absolutely. So, new doctors just coming into the field, anything else you'd want to share with them to help them to maybe one day have a practice like Dr. Adams?
Man, I just say just don't be scared. Just get out there and start doing it, and then you're gonna start with just the small stuff, and then the bigger stuff will start coming to you. You just got to get out there and do it because it's really about helping people. If that's your focus, then everything else will come. Dr. Johnson always said, if you help people that, oh, never, I don't even know what he said. What did he say? Help people get better that no one else can get better, and you'll make a professional income. So if you just focus on the patient, everything else comes.
That's a good way to look at it. I think business is pretty simple. As we close here, it really is, and it doesn't matter if it's a holistic professional, whether it's a car salesman, a mechanic, a plumber. It doesn't matter. Basically, you find a problem, you create a solution to the problem. You find people that have the problem, you care deeply about fixing it, and you exchange fixing it for money. And that's really the key. And if you're missing one of those, you're not going to have success. And most of the time in the holistic field, it really comes down to the caring part because we do the research, we know how to fix things, we know deficiencies, but do we care enough to really dive in to learn what's needed from that patient, want to see them heal? And that's the difference maker going into post COVID-19, going into what's possibly a reception. And I hope that you hear that from Dr. Adams today. And Dr. Adams, thanks so much.
No, thanks for having me.
Spending the time sharing your knowledge. I know that we had to break you away from some patients, but hopefully there's some doctors that can mentor from you and take this out and help a lot more. So thank you so much, and we'll look forward to seeing you again soon.
Likewise, man. Likewise.
Thank you.